So I'd like to take a moment and invite you all to have a seat at my table. One where the dishes are loud and clanking around, and big, boisterous voices are coming from the kitchen, echoing all throughout the house. Where ethnic food is always being prepared, and it's mingled with the woodsy smell of the fireplace coming from the family room. It is in the late 1970s, and these are the sights and sounds of my childhood home, one that brings me great comfort and joy. And as I go about my business, part of my chores is, of course, setting the table for family dinner. I take the dishes, the utensils, and the napkin, and I set a place for my brothers, my parents, and myself. And part of that routine includes going to the corner of the dining room and grabbing a chair and bringing it to the corner of the dining room table, where I sit close to my mother. Because together we are a united front. In the outnumbered home of 4 big, bold, vocal older brothers. And as dinner progresses, the laughter gets louder, and of course the heated conversations get started. They always do. One brother starts outdoing another brother, and everyone at the table always has to be right. And so I sit, I listen, and I learn. Because I know that I could be just as loud as they are. And trust me, at times I was. But I also know that my voice would not be heard. At a very young age, I knew that the loving family that I was being raised in was indeed old-fashioned. Boys did yard work, and girls did housework. And even as my mother championed me to go to college, she always had to assure my grandparents it was so that I could meet and marry an educated man, secretly knowing it was so that I could become an educated woman myself. So as I sat and listened and learned, it brought a great amount of determination with me. So when I was told I was a hiring risk because I wanted to have a family someday, I was determined. When I did not negotiate my salary because I didn't know how to, I was determined. And when I accepted a job that did not have maternity leave and went back into the workforce putting a 2-week-old in childcare, I was determined. Because I had a fire burning within me. And I knew that I, myself, had to get out on the other side ever so slightly to make a difference. And that difference was not so much for myself anymore. That difference is for the women that I stand by. Women in cybersecurity. My name is Lynn Dohm, and I'm Women in Cybersecurity Executive Director. We often go by our acronym WiCyS as We Sisters, because that's exactly what we are. We are a cyber sisterhood. And I had the great honor of stepping into this role in October of 2019, where I got to merge my passion and my career into one incredible 501c3 nonprofit in which I pour my heart and soul into. And throughout the past 2 years, we've all spent 18 months in a pandemic. And through that pandemic, our community leaned in and embraced the moment, and we used that as an opportunity to expand our community, having a capacity of over 5,000 members with representation now in over 70 countries. Our membership is comprised of women, men, allies, and advocates. We use this time to launch over 40 professional affiliates, which are mini WiCyS organizations. And they're in Africa, Australia, Canada, France, India, Pakistan, the UK, and all throughout the United States. We also developed over 130 student chapters in Canada, India, Nigeria, Costa Rica, and throughout the United States as well. And we do this because we care. We care about the security of ourselves. We care about the security of our families, about your families, about the companies that we all work for, and the organizations that we all care about. We care about building the cybersecurity workforce, so therefore we care about the WiCyS mission to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity. Because this is the state of cybersecurity. There is still a cybersecurity workforce shortage of over 3 million globally. There's 460,000 jobs unfilled in the United States alone, and 10,500 of those are in Ohio right now, still unfilled. So how does this impact you? And how does this impact us all? And what kind of change would you like to see in the workforce because of it? So I'd like to invite you to this, to explore thinking outside of the box. And for today, to think about all the different ways of engagement in which you can drive the change that's needed in the cybersecurity workforce, and what we could do different collectively together. Because it's long been known that there are two problems with building an effective cybersecurity workforce. You can't increase the diversity if you don't have the pipeline, and you don't have the pipeline if you're not tapping into diverse groups. This circle of events has been playing itself out for years and upon years. And so at WiCyS, we like to challenge the status quo, and we are making a difference because of it. So we're not here together today to talk about all the different reasons why and how the workforce is where it's at right now. That's not what we're doing. We're here today to collectively discuss the solutions. In 2014, women comprised of 11% of the cybersecurity workforce. We felt that. And at that same time, there was 1 million unfilled jobs. You fast forward to 2021, and yes, we've doubled our numbers. Women now represent roughly 20 to 24% of the cybersecurity workforce. But the demand has now tripled. So we've moved the needle ever so slightly, but there's still more work that needs to be done. So in 2014, Dr. Ambereen Siraj, our founder, decided to do something about that. Dr. Siraj is at Tennessee Tech University, and she reached out to NSF and received some seed funding for the first ever Women in Cybersecurity Conference. NSF to this day says they awarded her $70,000 with the anticipation of that being enough money for her to engage 250 women in cyber. And they weren't going to anticipate seeing much more come of it from there. They didn't realize that they awarded that money to a trailblazing woman that Dr. Siraj is. And she was able to take that money and engage 350 women in 2014 and 550 women in 2015. So $70,000 she stretched to engage 900 women in cybersecurity. And when that NSF funding went dry in 2015, through a lot of hard work, networking with the right companies, communities, and organizations, she continued to fund and grow the conference to 800 attendees, 900, 1,100, 1,300. We all know what happened to 2020. And 2021, we're at 1,300 attendees. We were at full capacity in less than 3 hours. We just hosted our 2021 conference in person at the Gaylord Rockies in Colorado at the beginning of September. But what makes the WiCyS conference so unique is, yes, we are the flagship conference for women in cybersecurity, and we do remain a significantly large women in cybersecurity conference. But regardless of gender, we are the only cybersecurity conference that has equal representation of students and professionals. So students cannot just register to attend the conference. They have to go through the scholarship application process. And when we open up registration for every single regular registrant, WiCyS issues a female cybersecurity student scholarship. And that's how we preserve the integrity of the model in which we were founded. On top of that, we have comparable representation of industry, academia, and government. And so the vibe and the energy of the WiCyS conference is slightly different than other conferences that we've all attended. I cannot stand up here and explain the energy and the excitement that all these ladies have as they're jam-packing their days with all the WiCyS activities throughout the two-day event. But I only hope that you all here can experience it yourself. And we owe all that thanks to our conference sponsors. These are the logos of the sponsors that are supporting the inclusion and the diversity efforts within the cybersecurity workforce. And they're making a difference in the workforce because of their support. There are 3 reasons why companies support the WiCyS conference. Is 1, we're a technical conference, and they want to be able to send their teams here as a professional development piece. The second reason is for their talent acquisition and recruiters to get the resumes to be a part of the career exhibitor space, and to donate their time and volunteer their time in their career village, and to be able to recruit from the talent pipeline at the WiCyS conference. And the third reason is to be branded and recognized as part of those contributing to the cybersecurity workforce pipeline. And so Raytheon itself has long been known as placing a high degree and emphasis on the diversity, equity, and inclusion. 1, because it's the right thing to do, but 2, as purely a business decision, they recognize that the diversity of thought is a key component that separates them and sets them apart from their competitors. And so for Tim personally, as he's building his cybersecurity workforce within Raytheon, he has stated that he has found no better organization than WiCyS that facilitates that goal. Raytheon feels they have a critical business advantage by supporting the WiCyS organization. And so do so many others. In the past 8 years, WiCyS annual conference has received $4.4 million in industry support. We've had over 7,700 attendees. We've issued 3,876 student scholarships, 372 faculty lodging grants, 79 veteran fellowship awards, and 63 BIPOC fellowship awards. So we're really proud to say that at the WiCyS conference, we demonstrate diversity, not by pointing out the problem, but by showcasing a spectrum of talent from a diverse group of professionals. And the WiCyS conference is going to be coming here in Cleveland at the Huntington Convention Center, March 17th through the 19th. So I'd love for you all to check us out, go to our website, and see how you could participate at the WiCyS conference. But because our conference is at full capacity so quickly, and our wait list is close to the thousands so quickly of closing down registration, in 2018, we decided to become a 501c3 nonprofit. And so our mission is to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity. And we have many different initiatives and opportunities to make that happen. The conference remains a very important initiative of ours, but is now one of many. And so before I go through this list of all our different initiatives, I'd like for you just to take a minute and let this sink in here for a second. And think about what resonates with you. In what ways would you like to get involved with the WiCyS organization? How would you like to partner with us? Or what would you like to see more of? Because each and every one of these programs were built out on a workforce need, and they all started with the conversation. And that's how WiCyS continues to expand and to grow. And because we're a member-based organization, we, of course, have an online member forum where all our members can network and connect. Within our forum, we have special interest groups like neurodiversity and cybersecurity, Latinas and military spouses in cybersecurity. We have data privacy, cybersecurity law, you name it, there's a special interest group to hold a conversation. And if there's not one, you could launch your own. We have many different skill development training programs that are built out by our strategic partners to serve as a certain workforce need for us. We have newsletters, webinars, scholarships, grants, and awards that are not only for the WiCyS conference, but other conferences as well. We have speaking and media opportunities because we want our members to be what others can see. And that's the cybersecurity professionals that they are. We have a Cyber Talent Emergency Fund in which students can apply for if they're within their last 4 semesters of graduating from their cybersecurity program. If they have a true financial emergency, like a medical bill, or their rent needs to be paid, or their car breaks down, we as a community do not want that to derail them from their cybersecurity studies. So we issue up to $599 within 48 hours of them applying for the funding. We have a Job Board Plus, where all our strategic partners post their jobs and have access to our resume database, and all our members could update their profiles and upload their resumes there. We have an apprenticeship program, an internship program, participate in market research, have leadership summits, provide in-person and virtual career fairs, veterans and military spouse program, mentor-mentee program, and a racial equity committee, which helps lead us internally and externally, ensuring that we're leading with equity, allyship, and inclusion. Because when you cultivate the culture of inclusion, diversity expands. You do retain your talent, and everyone performs better because there's trust, there's happiness, and there's respect. You will all grow and advance personally, and professional development and growth occurs, and everyone advances because of it, including the bottom line. Because that's the power of community. And that's why WiCyS bakes in the power of community in each and every program that we do. Like our security training scholarship, it was piloted in 2020 by Google. Google not only wanted to sustain the program, but they wanted to scale it. We reached out to other strategic partners, and Bloomberg and Facebook decided to join forces for 2021. This is a multi-stage, multi-tiered program where we had over 900 WiCyS members apply for it. 600 went into stage 1, which they were put into a cohort. From that, we had 250 that went into stage 2, and yet another cohort, another community. Stage 3 had 100 WiCyS members, where they were able to take an assessment. And last Friday, we announced our final 40 recipients that are receiving advanced certifications and placement, hopefully, at the end of a year in their cybersecurity careers because of that. And here are the 2020 scholarship recipients from the piloted program. And this is the power of community. Within less than 10 months, all these individuals were placed in cybersecurity careers. We believe in the power of community with our Veterans Apprenticeship Program. We had over 1,000 applicants for this program. 100 interviews we did, and 21 female veterans were paid and received paid-for training and placed in a 2-year paid-for apprenticeship program. That came from that. And this is our 21 veteran apprenticeships that are out there and in their paid-for apprenticeships because of the WiCyS program. And we build the power of community in every program that we do, including target funding our gamified cybersecurity challenges, in which we had 10 final recipients attend the WiCyS conference because of their advancement. We have a mentor-mentee program that we piloted in 2020 and we launched again in 2021. We've designed a curriculum to upskill and up-level women no matter where they're at in their career, preparing them for their next level of advancement. It's a 12-month structured framework, and we developed it strategically in a cohort setting so that the community could grow their network, learn from each other's shared experiences, and advance in their careers collectively. And we're proud to say that this program is being launched right now with 775 mentees and 191 mentors. And that's the power of community. AWS builds out an entire roadmap, and so many other strategic partners do as well. If you go to WiCyS.org, you could look under our training programs, and they're being rolled out like rapid fire. And we owe all of that as a special thanks to our strategic partners. So our conference sponsors sponsor the conference, and our strategic partners fund WiCyS as a nonprofit organization with the annual benefits. They are the foundation of all things that WiCyS does, and we couldn't do it without their funding and support. Because they know that we build out these programs for the Amy's out there. The Amy's that started a student chapter on her campus, that went to the WiCyS conference without knowing anyone and sat at that table and built her community. The Amy's that took a risk on herself and applied for the security training scholarship made possible by Google last year and had employment opportunities available to her because of it. And we build these programs because of the Jennies out there. An Army veteran that struggled with aligning her military career experience with her cybersecurity career, that took a risk on herself, and she states that she was petrified, and applied for the WiCyS Veterans Apprenticeship Program. And now Jenny has a 2-year paid-for apprenticeship at Bloomberg because of it. That's life-changing. And the Editis out there that was ready to level up her career and jumped on board for the senior and executive level cloud security simulation, that she now can speak to the experience as she's out there applying and interviewing for career advancement opportunities. Because every program that we build out is life-changing. And I could stand up here and I could share all the stories of the Sarahs and Felicias and Manzis all day long. It's absolutely what I love to do. But that doesn't give volumes to the voice of the community itself. And that is the voice that deserves to be heard. So I'd love for you all to pull out your phones and search WiCyS on LinkedIn and look under posts and listen to the voices of our community. Immerse yourself in their stories and let their voices be heard. Because the diversity of thought in the cybersecurity workforce matters. In order to solve problems that have never previously existed before, we need genders, identities, experiences, races, ethnicities, backgrounds, cultures, and more. All hands on deck. And at WiCyS, we know this. We hone in on this, and we build a bigger table because of it. A table where each and every one of us has a seat. And I know all of our journeys are different. That brings us here together today. And that's what makes this in-person event so unique and so awesome. It wasn't so long ago that I began my journey myself. I was the first one to enter a keynote conference luncheon. I was eager and confident to be there. And so being the first one, I beelined for the first table I saw, and I sat down, all doing an internal dialogue of patting myself on the back. It was 2012, and I was in San Antonio, Texas. And I was proud and excited to be there representing my cybersecurity client. I know I worked hard, and I earned that seat at that table. Except something that I wasn't quite anticipating happened that day. As each and every person was filing into the conference hall, they were sitting everywhere else but with me. There was an 8-top over here, a 10-top over there. I even smiled and nodded politely as someone came to my table and grabbed a chair to bring over to sit with his colleagues. I was like, okay, fine. A quick check on my phone confirmed there was nothing in my hair, my teeth, my face, everything looked fine. So I continued to sit there alone. And so naturally, you can imagine that my excitement began to fade. I kind of slouched down in my chair a little bit. I became a little more self-conscious and very self-aware. And quite honestly, I did want to go unnoticed. At that time, I felt depleted, just like that. And I knew that that's not what success feels like. So you can imagine my delight when Ed sat down next to me. He probably saw my pain, and he certainly felt my relief. And slowly, the table did fill up with a couple of people sitting there, and the conference went on. But for the days and the weeks that followed, I shared my story with everyone. It was so incredibly interesting to me that I could sit there alone for so long, and everyone in that jam-packed room could be so blatantly okay with that. And when I shared my story, I didn't use words like inclusion or exclusion because, quite frankly, at that time, those weren't even conversations I was having. But I know, and I knew, that whatever I experienced was a story worth sharing. In 2015, I came across the WiCyS community. In 2018, it was my very first chance that I had the opportunity to attend my first WiCyS conference in Sweet Home, Chicago. And I share these stories with you because cybersecurity has a burning problem. We're under attack at a rapid and alarming rate. And we have to build a more effective workforce. And a more effective workforce is a diverse workforce. Each and every city that we bring the WiCyS conference to gets this pulse of energy and excitement from the opportunity that lies ahead. And this is what we're bringing to you right in your backyard, March 17th through the 19th, with the WiCyS conference coming here. This is an opportunity for you to engage and make a difference in the cybersecurity workforce. So let me know how I could assist you. Thank you. Yes.
You had mentioned Pakistan and India. Your association is in areas of the world where women are looked at in a different light. Has that been an uphill challenge?
I can tell you that India has been the rapidly most growing affiliate that we've ever had. It took off like rapid fire. So the need for the community is so significant in that area, and having the powerful women that are championing it out there and bringing awareness to it has been very well for them. And our strategic partners are engaging with that affiliate often and supporting them in a different capacity. So it's been really beneficial. Pakistan has just launched. So we really don't have the thumb on the pulse of what's with Pakistan because they're just starting to kind of put themselves together and getting branded out there in their community. But India is amazing. And you could check them out on LinkedIn. They're a really thriving, active community. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's a good question, though. Yes.
How did the pandemic affect your membership?
It actually, so when we canceled the 2020 conference, it was a very hard decision. It was March 5th at 9 a.m. We met as an executive committee. We're like, no, we're absolutely having the conference. And it was supposed to be March 12th through the 14th. And by 3 o'clock that afternoon, we canceled the conference because of all the travel restrictions. I mean, if anyone remembers, March 5th was a very hard day for a lot of people. So there was a big financial strain and a big emotional strain. We planned 18 months for that conference, and to make that decision, there was no plan B for pandemic. So we sent a team out to Denver that was to meet with all the different type of sponsored boxes in the warehouse where everything was being stored and sort through all that. And we had a team stay back in Chicago, and we just brainstormed ideas of what's next. We were very fortunate at that time to already be doing virtual type of career fairs. And so we had a virtual platform that we were already familiar working with. So we really did launch into a virtual conference fairly quickly. In less than 5 weeks, we had WiCyS Virtual 20. And that hashtag alone in 3 days received an 8 million reach. So because we launched into that virtual platform so quickly, we got a lot of attention. And that's how, excuse me, that's how we realized that our community now, I mean, women are working in isolated workforce experiences prior to a pandemic. Now you put work from home on top of it and all the other significant challenges and responsibilities. And so we knew that our community needed us more than ever. So a few things that came out of that is, one, that's where we really started going into our training programs. And the very first one was brought to us by Google, saying that they invested a lot in in-person events and what could WiCyS as a community do to continue to the momentum for women in cybersecurity to go strong, but not have an in-person event. And so we designed and developed our training program model. Oh, thank you. Then AWS jumped on it, Target jumped on it, and the rest is history with that. So we saw a significant growth with that. Thank you. Also, it's when we really did, prior to the pandemic, we only had an international affiliate in Canada. So India was the next one up, and then came Africa. We have East Africa, Southern Africa. Then that's when Pakistan, France has been talking about it for about 2 years, but they finally made the decision during the pandemic to do it. So I think globally, the women in cybersecurity community kind of came together with a strong force of what could we do to support each other throughout it all. Another thing is that we noticed an uptick in our employers. So all our previous sponsors and strategic partners came to us saying, we realize we can't hire right now. We're on a hiring freeze, but we have some good female women talent on our teams, and we don't want to lose them. So what can we do? And not only did employers open their mind and became more flexible with that, but also they came to WiCyS and they started purchasing membership packages for their teams so that they could have the support structure within it. So I think it really goes back to the power of community, and everything that we do, we cultivate in that culture of inclusion and put everyone in a cohort setting so that we could always have each other to grow and learn from. So.
If I haven't mentioned it, I'm a little rusty with my meeting facilitation skills given the pandemic. So those of you online, there is the Whova app, there is the Q&A option. For those of you in the room, if you just want to put a Q&A in your Whova app if you don't want to speak. So please add some questions. We've got a couple more here. We are at 9:35 and we do have 10 o'clock coming up. So I'm going to present a couple questions that we've received online for you.
Sure.
And again, while we have everyone's attention still, Lynn will be speaking again at 10 o'clock with Ken Atkinson from Baldwin Wallace University. So we're going to expand and continue this conversation. So please, again, stay tuned for the next hour. So I'm going to step back and give you a couple questions. Again, I'm a little rusty, so I think you probably addressed some of this, but if you want to elaborate on it.
Sure.
Thank you. I was going to ask you to repeat the question, but since I'm standing right here with a mic now, how can I help my organization fill open positions that we have?
So, I mean, what it comes to is the point of engagement. with the WiCyS organization, we have a job board plus, where strategic partners can post their jobs. They could also recruit from the job board plus, where there's resumes and profiles all set up. But also, in addition, is to support the conference. The conference is really unique because we have that equal representation of students and professionals, but conference supporters also get access to the resume database, where it's a searchable database. They get invited to a virtual career fair on March 1st. So at that career fair, they can engage with potential candidates, and they could line up the interviews for the in-person event themselves. So, they could just certainly reach out. If they're a member, they could post their jobs in the member portal. That's open to everyone. So that's a community of over 5,000 members.
Thank you. Great answer. These are also voted up, so if you have interest in a question, as time allows, I'm asking you the questions as they're upvoted.
Okay.
I think you just answered this rather well, and I think you answered it during your presentation, but here it goes. Is there a forum where we can learn more about upskilling our personal awareness, consciousness on engaging change? I think you mentioned LinkedIn, and you just said the conference, so I think that maybe came in really early. Anything your whole topic?
Just engage. We're all over social media. We have Facebook. We have a Facebook group. We're on Twitter. We have a really active Twitter community. LinkedIn, I think we have over 26 or 27 followers on LinkedIn, but the community is all out there, so just search us and engage with us and pay attention to everything that's coming out. There's all sorts of different programs that are constantly being rolled out within the organization, and we're sending those updates as quickly as we can.
I'm reading as I find this.
Yeah.
What is one thing we can do today to put these ideas into action?
Well, the one thing to do today is to join us. I mean, we're a member-based organization. Our membership, we're not a women's only organization. Our mission is to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity. And we're comprised of women, allies, and advocates that are interested in building the capacity in the cybersecurity workforce and have a passion for our mission, and that's to get more women in the workforce.
How can we connect our companies to your talent pipeline, and how can we get involved individually? I think, again, apologies, I think these questions are all
Conference. No, that's okay. That's all right.
feeding into your entire talk.
Yeah, so that's the conference. We're coming to Cleveland, so the conference is coming right in your backyard. And the reason why we stress this importance so much, and that's why Greg and Gary have invited me out here, is because I'm from Chicago, and I was at that Chicago conference, and I belong to the Chicago ISSA and the Chicago ISACA, and I was invited to do the Chicago CISO award ceremony, their keynote. And each and every time I'm engaging with our Chicago community and our Chicago affiliate, everyone is asking, when are we coming back to Chicago? And the answer is 10, 15 years. I mean, it's not on the short list, that's for sure. We definitely rotate around the country to make this opportunity available to everyone. So this is your time. We're coming to Cleveland. I mean, this likely won't happen for quite some time. And this is the opportunity to engage with close to 1,800 women in cybersecurity, all under one rooftop at the convention center, the 17th through the 19th. So the conference is coming here.
Those are all the questions we had online. Does anyone else in the room have anything they'd like to ask or comments to add? I'll give it a minute.
I do have one more, and I hope it's okay to ask this, but we all are different.
Mm-hmm.
And do you find that women somehow are more adept at cybersecurity challenges sometimes than males are?
Could you repeat the question? I think maybe for the
Oh, we're
online.
all different, and women sometimes are more adept.
At facing cybersecurity challenges. It's actually, are they? Not they are.
Well, they bring a lot to the table with the multitasking, problem solving, the aptitude, the determination, the grit, and the amount of work ethic that they have. And so when we build out programs, in particular, we're looking for non-traditional women to come into the cybersecurity workforce. We certainly build out programs for students too, but we're also looking for non-traditional pathways for librarians, biology majors, for any career changer in a non-traditional capacity that's looking to get into cybersecurity. And how we build out that program is that we do have a beginner level CTF at the very first stage, but that's not to see how they score. We're not interested in the score. We weight heavily the essay is why do they want to get into the workforce? What is their determination with that? And then the second thing we look at is their determination within the platform. So we're not paying attention to the score, but we're paying attention to how many times they're attempting the challenges. How many times do they step away from it and do they come back to it? And then at what level do they finally get that challenge and move on? And so we're looking for that grit and that aptitude there. And then another part of those training programs is an assessment as they continue to advance through that. But the 15 that we awarded in 2020, this one woman, Hema, she heard of the word cybersecurity a month before she saw it pop up on LinkedIn. And she was a stay-at-home mom for 16 years. She was like, what am I going to do? I'm ready to go back out into the workforce. And she thought, I'll give cybersecurity a try. And she was one of the final 15 recipients, and she has a job now in less than 10 months in the cybersecurity workforce. So that's what we're looking for, is that aptitude, the grit, the determination, and the skill set that women could bring to the table.
I think we have time for one more question. If not, I have just a couple housekeeping items. We're going to take a short break very soon, but getting back in touch with my meeting facilitator, we do have Lynn's bio on the Whova app, and her contact information, the org is up, but her email contact is blocked. Well, I'm going to refer people to your Whova, your bio, and your contact information, or
Yeah.
can you adjust that?
Yeah,
Other
I don't know why that's
housekeeping, we do have vendors outside, and as the conference continues, Cuyahoga Community College has a table outside. Again, we have Baldwin Wallace University in person, not a table, but Ken Atkinson. These guys do a lot of heavy lifting and do a lot of career development, and we're going to be continuing this conversation. It's so important. So please come back after break. We have the 10 o'clock call, virtually and in person. Ken will be joining Lynn to expand and deepen this career connections conversation. Please fill out your survey on the Whova app. We do have some technical difficulties. I acknowledge you online. We're first day, first session. We're going to be working through those. So add that to your review.
We're used to those technical difficulties.
Yeah. So thank you, Lynn. We'll see you in a few minutes.